We're going to start off with Gotham War. The big thing going on down at the rec center is all the kids talking about that Gotham War, what it means to Batman, the Bat family, Catwoman, and everything in between, Eric.
And you'll never understand if you read one issue to the next, because each writer has a different idea of what's going on with Batman right now.
Well, that is a big problem, and it's one of those things where when you end up, you get scared of that. You know, it's one of the fears of having a crossover. Usually,
and spiders.
Yeah, well, that's true. I also just don't like ghosts, Eric. That's just me. But I'm very spiritual. But you end up in something like this in a crossover. Now, usually if there's two writers, you don't have as much of a problem. And I'm not even going to talk about that Matthew Rosenberg Red Hood deal. That's kind of a side thing that got thrown in. But the idea of the main two books, Catwoman and Batman, the big fear was that, okay, Chip Zdarsky, he's working on some big things in his Batman book, and Tini Howard's doing bullshit over there in Catwoman.
That's what everybody's saying, right?
You know, is this the idea of mixing, you know, your peanut butter with your chocolate? You get something better, it elevates it all? Or are we going to get a shit sandwich? And it seems like we've gotten a bit of a shit sandwich. But the big thing here that I have a problem with is something, because you ended up making me a little more intrigued. We got some flack for it, though.
I do that.
You know, you ended up because of the idea of, you know, what is Zornar doing? And is this going against, you know, Batman's whole idea? And how is this going to play out?
And who's in control of Batman's body at that point?
Exactly. Then you get into this, and it seems that Tini Howard did not get the memo that the idea of Batman losing his mind is from Zor-N-R and all the other things going on. She seems to think that Batman's just crying and upset because Selina's not his girlfriend anymore. And woe is me, nobody likes me. It doesn't even really make sense in the story itself either. It's just Batman being sad sack, worrisome, oh my God, and then trying to defend what he did with Jason. The city's burning. They're just there crying. It's such bullshit, Eric.
I'm telling you, it's one of the worst part of the book, so, but in this, before we even get to the credits, like we have Batman crying at the beginning of it. Batman and Catwoman part ways, and then they find Batman back at the brownstone, still in the middle of the night when he should be doing Batman stuff while the city burns. Like, who is this Batman? Even Zor-N-R wouldn't do this.
Doing Batman stuff? I mean, doing any sort of hero stuff. I mean, the city's on fire. People are in trouble.
Streets are on fire.
There is a part in this there where me and you talked about even Red Hood and Jason Todd and what would happen, because now if he gets all excited, his adrenaline goes, and I said, what if a kid walks in front of the bus? Well, we end up seeing it here, and I still think she fucks it up and doesn't play it well enough of the idea that Jason's fighting through his fear to actually save a kid, but it doesn't play out as anything. It's very odd.
Later on, you and I will talk about Nightwing and how he has this weird moment out of nowhere. He gets afraid too, and he can't do nothing, but somehow we don't know what's going on with that yet, but Jason Todd, we know what's been happening to him. He gets any adrenaline going on. There's a fear toxin takes over. He's not able to do any kind of super heroics or anything. Jason Todd is able to overcome this way more than Dick Grayson is with whatever's happening to him.
You set up that whole play of, I'm going to make Jason better, I'm going to give him a life, whatever. It really doesn't make sense, and it really played on the idea of who is in charge with Batman. Not here, though. And then on the opposite side, Selina's so concerned with Jason Todd in a weird way. But I'll give you the credits, and then I'll give you what I think is the biggest misplay of all this, besides just happening, Eric, existing. Catwoman number 58, written by Tini Howard, art by Nico Leone, Veronica Gandini, and Lucas Catoni. And one of the things, before I even get into what I said, Nico Leone ended up getting on Twitter recently, and he was complaining about this issue. He actually complained that the issue was delayed. Tini Howard hadn't given him a finished script, and without being able to then delay it. Like the idea, it was already 2 weeks late, but DC would not delay it 2 weeks, so he had to do
Get to work, Nico.
Really quick. And he was afraid because he ended up saying he deleted the tweet then because he got some flack. But I agree kind of with him. I mean, throwing people under the bus is not the greatest of things, right, Eric? But yeah, and I don't know why I said it like that. But the idea where you are based on, you know, pretty much your last issue, somebody goes in and says, oh, I want to hire this Nico Leone, and look, oh man, this guy stinks.
What have you done
Not
for me
realizing that he had to do it in like 3 days. Now, on the opposite side, we have been told by our man Juan Ferreira back in the day, this sort of thing happened to him a lot. He never complained. He just went forward and did his thing and tried to do his best. But I understand in this issue, it looks okay. It's not up to standards. At points, it doesn't quite look exactly like his art usually does. It's not as, refined or whatnot, but it's okay. I think he does a pretty good job.
It's funny because, like, you know, a slacking, I don't want to say slacking Nico, but like, you know, a Nico doesn't have enough time. No, I'm saying it comes off more of a Phil Hester when he doesn't have enough time.
Well, it's weird because one of the things that it doesn't have is that weird shine. That is, you know what I'm saying? That shine that and some of it does here, but some of it doesn't. But I think that the biggest misplay going into this book, especially what we had last issue of Batman and going forward in this, Gotham War, is the idea. There's Zor-En-Arr. Zor-En-Arr, I said, it's kind of like the play of Joker. Oh my God, the Bat family makes you weaker. Oh my God, this is such a great opportunity for us to find out what Zor-En-Arr actually would think about Catwoman. Think about Selina and that they were going to get married and all this. You could have really shown that Zor-En-Arr, you would guess that Zor-En-Arr, leave that alone. We don't have time for romance,
criminal,
things like that. But it might have been something, maybe a little different, but you don't even do that.
Maybe Chip will do it.
He doesn't have any more issues left. There's
maybe
only
Chip will do it.
Bookend deal that maybe, but that's what this book should be. I know you want to focus on Catwoman because it's the Catwoman book, but why don't you see a little bit of what Zor-En-Arr thinks of this whole relationship thing? You could even tie it in that, oh my God, with Zor-En-Arr in his head, Batman's never going to be able to be happy, never going to be able to settle down because it just won't let him do it. And I think it's a missed opportunity there, but really, it's a missed opportunity all around. What's going on here? You have Sad Sack Batman, right?
You have Sad Sack Batman, but just overall, the Gotham War itself, like, okay, Selina wants to take over the city away from the rogue criminal element that we usually have in this. Make the henchmen better, be able to work for themselves so they don't have to do this. Make violent crime, lower than it usually is in Gotham City, and just kind of make regular crime, like ordinary crime, okay, as long as we keep the violent crime down. This is what she's doing. Batman's all opposed to it, but Batman's also got a crazy, ultra Batman in his mind that's trying to break free. You have all that going on, and that's enough in my mind. But then you throw in Vandal Savage and the rest of the Batman's rogues gallery by the end. I'm like, I don't know what the story really wants to do. And I don't think that Tini Howard really has an idea what you want to do, except for Catwoman trying something out that she knows is going to fail ultimately.
And I said last issue of Batman, this seems like a lot of the stuff, the Vandal said, this seems a lot focused on the Zor-En-Arr Batman stuff. So what does that lead Catwoman? How does Catwoman lead out of here? I don't think Tini knows. I think that Tini's just like, oh, well, I have these things. They were thrown in here. Let's go with it. But things just never feel like they actually have any weight to it. Again, at one point, because this big plan of Selina that set up all this, and you just said it, the idea of nonviolent crime, I'm going to get all these criminals that I helped either break out or the henchmen
of the big villains out of the way.
In this, she starts to try to play this game of I am teaching them to be better people, so that it's almost like, give a man a fish he could eat for a day, teach him how to fish, and the guy's fishing all the fucking time and doesn't do any work.
Give me a fish. I don't know what the hell I'm doing with that
Exactly. I don't know how to cook. But in this, though, she basically sets up that, well, I'm teaching them how to do this like minor crime so they could go forward and be the... No, you're just teaching them. But what happens when that runs out? What happens when people are wise to it and either start arresting people for once? We actually see the police here. They're overwhelmed. Or the idea of just people fighting back like we already saw. It's nonsense. The whole thing is nonsense. But in the meantime, Fireflies just set the whole goddamn city on fire for a goof.
Take that, Gotham.
I mean, it's so funny because that even...
Take my goons, will you?
We have to do something like it that feels so artificial. All of a sudden, the city's on fire. Vandal Savage goes, Firefly, what did you do? And Firefly basically was like, oh, really? You're asking? I'm Firefly? Seriously? I set things on fire. Figured I'd
You're not calling me Garfield. You're calling me Firefly. You know what I do.
And I love the idea. It's just like, everybody also in Tini Howard's world here, when we talked about like a Mariko Tamaki before, where every character, just go by their name and you'll know exactly what they're up to.
Q Vile.
Yeah, Tini in this does kind of the same, but it's just every villain, they have to have their catchphrase thing. You have to have Two-Face say, the city is in two, and then Firefly setting fire. You end up where all these things going down. I'm like, this is bad. This is really bad. And
for some reason, Mad Hatter's just saying no cap.
Yeah, really. He's like, that'd be great. No cap, baby. Even then, you end up having a big play of the villains gathering up. We saw this with the henchmen gone. Villains are pissed at gathering up, but that gets pushed aside pretty much by Vandal Savage. Vandal Savage was overtaking the book.
We have all this going on. Vandal Savage is like, look, all you guys, you're pissed off. Catwoman took your henchman. Batman's still out there doing Batman things along with the Bat family. Guess what, everybody? You work with me for what I'm trying to do. Give everybody immortality because, Vandal Savage shit for some reason. I have the means to get you Batman tech, but I'm not going to tell you how I have the means to do that. It's just our final showdown for the cliffhanger of this book is a bunch of the, Two-Face, Mad Hatter, Professor Pig, Firefly, Killer Moth, and these kind of villains. There's Mad Hatter in a utility belt. What the fuck are you doing with this? I'm like, we have seen this in the past in different things. Like the two that come off to the top of my head immediately is like we had the Joker War where the Joker had, like the Bat Jet and all these different high grade, vehicles and stuff that he could go and destroy things in the city. He'd paint them up to make them have big smiles on their face. Or even the Dark Knight Rises when Bane took control of all the Batmobiles to patrol the city of Gotham. We've seen this before, but when you have these asshole villains standing around with a Mr. Freeze gun and a utility belt, I'm like, oh, you're losing immediately. What the hell is Mad Hatter doing with a utility belt? How is this going to help him?
Yeah, exactly. And even then, when he's talking about, you're ending up where you're going to say, everybody has immortality. We thought that this was going to be, oh, here we go. We're going to get a bunch of Lazarus pits and stuff like that. But when he's explaining this deal, and he doesn't explain it fully to everybody, the idea that it looks like only a couple people will really be immortal. There's only a couple of these relics.
I don't know how the
know
ideas of the relics, because Ra's al Ghul would put safeguards in place to make sure these other items that had been broken off of the original meteorite that gave Vandal Savage his powers, he made sure that they could never come together. But now with Ra's al Ghul being dead, for whatever reason, the stars have aligned and fate is jumped in here and said, let them all go to Gotham now.
Them Gotham.
And it doesn't even feel like it's something that Vandal Savage put together. It's just like they're all coming together in Gotham. And the thing is, these pieces of meteorite, they've all been changed over the years to daggers and different items like that. So you have the Gotham City Museum, but the idea of the immortality, is it just anybody hot potato this shit and you have immortality? Is it a one-time use? Because obviously somebody's picked up this goddamn dagger for it to be on display at the museum before.
Well, they have to be together. And that, like you're saying though, to have it be, okay, you have Ra's al Ghul's dead, so these things are coming together. No, it looks like they're just on tour. It looks like they're just going around to different museums. It made it silly. It's like King Tut back in the day. Oh, my goodness. And that does lead to one of the funniest things that made me laugh out loud when we do get to it. But all this is when Catwoman leaves Batman, city's on fire, shit's going down. Catwoman goes back. She's real concerned about Jason. What did you do to Jason? I'm worried about Jason. I have to see Jason. I'm like, when did this really become a thing? Also, she thinks that for 3 seconds that she's actually trained Jason as much as Batman. Well, I had my part too. I'm like, bullshit.
No, Jason trains your guys. Get out of here.
Yeah, get out of town. And Jason revealed his identity while training the guys. But she ends up where Batman does the again. Tini Howard has to have the tropes and the cliches. Batman disappears while Catwoman looks away. But there's no reason for him.
He disappeared back to the brownstone. I'm like, I'm tired. I'm going to take a nap.
He disappeared to go and take off the cape and cowl and sit around the brownstone while the whole city's on fire.
Batman stuff.
Tini Howard has no clue how to write Batman. She barely can write Catwoman, for crying out loud, or anybody else. But this whole plan of Vandal Savage just came out of nowhere. It seems goofy. It ties into a story me and you did in the New 52 and the thing of the meteor
Vandal
coming
Savage
by.
is always losing his immortality, it seems like, every time he shows up and has to get it back somehow.
Yeah, either he's lost it or he wants to upgrade because of damn meteor. He's found this or that, but he's there with Scandal.
And this meteor broke off a bigger asteroid, and that asteroid's coming back into Earth's orbit, so I'm going to be there at the freaking highest point on Earth, be able to freaking suck up some of that sweet-ass immortality once more.
So Catwoman goes back and, oh my, it's Scandal, Savage, Marquise. Oh, I've been duped, and there's Vandal. But then Vandal gets all fired up.
We will give you immortality. No dice, Vandal Savage. Then I'll cut your head off. Haha. Oh no, it's Lady Clayface in disguise. She skedaddles, and Catwoman says, I gotta get a hold of Bruce Wayne some more. Better go to the brownstone.
How many tropes and cliches can we have? I mean, the idea of Marquise, oh
best
my God.
Part of the book.
Well, the best part is that she actually disappears up in the vent, and then later on, Catwoman actually says, I'm going to go through it. This woman, Tini Howard, is obsessed with vents. She can't get out of this idea of vents.
You have Lady Clayface and you're not doing anything with her. This is the perfect use because, it's a one-trick pony when you have a Clayface, impersonating somebody like a Catwoman here. But it's good use for the character because you have her.
You say good use. The thing that got me, though, is I think it would have been more of a play here if he did behead Catwoman. But somehow, well, listen, because this whole thing of setting up immortality, Lazarus Pits possibly, this could have been a way for this. Well, we don't know what, like you said, we don't know what the immortality means or how this can be. But
it all has to do with the meteor pieces. You could have
played it in there that, you know, Batman would have to kind of go along with it to maybe get Catwoman back. But it's just, it's revealed immediately, too. And the best is that now Lady Clayface has to go through the vents because she's got to skedaddle to tell Catwoman exactly what happened here. And, oh, my God, I found out. In that, you end up just, you know, Vandal, I did this. I don't care. I'm not going to ask anybody any permission. I'm going to do this. I'd love the idea at one point where the only one who wants immortality is Scarface. He's like, I'm down. Like, you're a dummy. I'm surprised he didn't even say that, right?
I went back to the end of the book just to check out the stupid shit because the stuff that Vandal Savage gives these villains in order to fight, you know, back against the city and Catwoman and her forces and everything that Bat Family has to offer. You have the ventriloquist in a Batman cowl and Scarface in a Robin costume.
Yeah, that's it. Costumes.
How are these helping anybody?
I know Damien's a little dude, but I where are you getting that costume? I mean, it's
I like to imagine
like
it's a stretched out Jarro Robin costume.
You think it's the Jarro? Here's the other thing, though. While this goes on, we had that bit of the Bat Box. The idea of, I'm going to make sure that Batman and Dick Grayson shuts it down.
Yeah.
Now, all that was is because now we realize, you know, Vandal seriously is going to go through things, so all of the files are scrubbed. That's all it was, because you don't even get mention of anything or any problems that Batman has. He's even tracking Jason's, like, all this stuff in this weird...
It even feels weird that with this whole thing, it's like, I'm Vandal Savage. I'm going to make this cabal of supervillains to go against Catwoman and Batman and take over the city so I can have all this immortality for everybody, which I don't think he's going to, because why would he want that shit? But the thing is, how about you just tell all these villains who Batman is? Because you know... How about you just ruin Batman so he can never come back for it? But no, you're going to keep me. Mum's the word, but I got some tech from you from the Batmans.
Does Professor Pig just have a glove? Is that all he has?
I'm trying to make it work in my head for how it works. I'm going to say it's the electrocutioner's gloves. I'm going to say that. I don't know for certain, but I'm going with that to try to make it a threat. There's a glove with a cable coming off it. Don't know what it is.
It looks like Two-Face just has guns.
I want to say he has Mr. Freeze's gun. That's what I'm going with.
I don't know. Well, the weird play is that Mr. Freeze is going to be somewhere around probably wanting to join. He's going to be pissed off. But
he's hiding from the Organs right now.
And Firefly, he just looks like he has his own stuff, right?
Honestly, I don't know what Firefly has. Look at freaking Black Mask. He's just wearing Batman armor.
Well, he looks like the Arkham Knight. It's so ridiculous. Just the idea that's the ending. And this is supposed to be like ominous.
These aren't even villains with superpowers. These are not the ones that Batman really has to have a hard time fighting hand to hand against.
No, and also just as an aside, like one of the big plays that we've been having, and one of the things that we've been wondering about, which I think will continue. This definitely will continue in the Chip Zdarsky, but that whole Batman hand, you know, fake hand, metal hand that's kind of been pushed aside. Everything's pushed aside once Vandal Savage showed up with a goofier plan than the last. I mean, it
just seems like you have this Gotham War. DC's are like, hey, Chip, Tini, you guys got to work together. And they're like, all right, we're going to work together. We're going to do our own things and present it together at the end of the project. And neither is doing anything the other is doing, and they're just doing their own thing and hoping it meshes. That's not.
I think it felt a little more congruous. Is that the word? It felt like it was a little bit together at the beginning. That might be it. At the beginning. Now it seems like they hey, we're going to get together twice. We'll talk about things but they canceled the second one.
Like Chip Zdarsky has a lot of stuff going on with Batman. Tini Howard just had, ramen noodles in prison for Catwoman. That's all she had. You mention
it here. You mentioned the ramen noodles.
You did your job, Tini.
Because that's all you had.
Flashback.
I said, what did she have to set up? What she had, and just as an asider, just to pull this back, now I want to know, what was this bullshit plan? Because Catwoman, out of nowhere, decides she has to go to jail because she may or may not have murdered Valmont. He may be a cat, according to you.
Maybe.
Batman says, no, we can get you out. The DA doesn't want to put her in. She demands to be put in jail.
I'm going to stay here until a few days later when I break out.
She's put in a county jail that somehow has metahumans in it that have done worse things. Marquise is already there. They become fast friends for ramen. They break out. Boom, boom, boom. Vandal Savage. I'm like, how the fuck was this set up?
Dude, I'm waiting for Punchline to do her part.
Really? So it was phase 10. We're at by now with Punchline. I mean, seriously. that's another thing that just got complete. Also, whatever happened with Black Mask saying, all right, I am with you, begrudgingly because of what you do with the mask and things like that.
Well, that's the thing is I don't know if he actually stayed with it.
He didn't, but we never saw that. You need to show things that you set up to go. This is a wreck. But yeah, you end up after this whole play, you do get to see Jason. After Vandal, I want that continuous deal where Vandal's like, I can get you the tech, and now they start, I want the utility belt. Okay, man, how are you going to have the utility belt? Whatever. I want the Robin costume. But there's Jason, who is down in the sewers.
Roggin. You can't do the bees.
Oh, yeah, that is true. Roggin. Gatman and Roggin is what they are. Jason's down in the sewer like a little gitch, right? And play the game there. So he's down there. Now, the whole play of this was supposed to be set up that if he ends up, it was too unclear, the idea, if he ends up, as adrenaline goes up, the reverse cranker, that means that he must be trying to kill somebody, and then this whole failsafe thing will kick in, he'll end up getting scared and not do it. But now he's just there like this, I don't know, like a little gitch in the sewers. He can't do, I gotta get up there, I gotta go, I want to go and get that damn Bruce Wayne. What's going on? I don't even think Tini Howard understands what was done to Jason, because it doesn't make sense.
Even what is done to Jason, he is still a true hero at heart. So even when he stops being a little gitch and gets out of the sewers, he sees a burning building and realizes there's a little girl inside and rushes into the fire to go and save that little girl. He doesn't succeed. He still needs Batman and Catwoman to save his ass because he gets scared, but he tries, damn it.
He next thing, if they don't get there, he's going to be on crutches, Eric. It's going to be big problems. So he ends up doing that. In the meantime, Vandal Savage, the whole play that was told to Lady Clayface, she went through the vent and told Selina, oh, he wants you to steal these artifacts. So in Selina's mind, she says, okay, well, if that's what he wants, he can't pay or buy me off. I'm going to go get at least one of these, then they can never be together. She goes in. This is what we've been told. Tini Howard solicits all this of the world's greatest criminal. Oh, my God, the things that she could steal and the crazy little subterfuge. She drops in and smashes this thing open and runs away.
Grab, bitches. I ain't got time for this.
Stupidest thing. I love the idea that you don't even show that she's doing anything but going in and smashing this case and running.
City's on fire. We ain't got time for subtlety.
That's why we have these guards are like me and you.
That's for everybody
like
else.
110 and the other guy's 80. He's the young whippersnapper that's new on the job. These guys are just standing around. I think something just got stolen. And then she just runs off with it. This is so bad. It's so bad. Then she runs into Scandal, and Scandal is going in. What makes Scandal almost pull back is the idea that, man, you're going to go to jail, Scandal, and your girlfriends are going to be sad. And she's like, what'd you say? What is going on here? They fight for a little bit. Scandal does like Catwoman, it seems. She appreciates the ramen. And also she wants maybe, Catwoman to have this immortality. And it's a weird play. The idea, again, where it's not going to happen. She's not going to accept it. I wish that we had some sort of thing that there looked like it was going one way, but we could get a twist. But there's not really twists here.
Clayface.
It's just the idea. Well, there was the twist, just because you wanted to have a head Catwoman. But if your jaw dropped at that point, it didn't drop too long because it's like a panel later that you see it. But you end up where Selina, after Batman left her to go and just hang out while the city burned, now Selina, she's going to go and visit him.
We got to find Jason.
We got to find Jason. In the play, it's a weird thing where she says, where's Jason? Well, Batman says, I tracked him to you a little bit ago. But then like a page later, Catwoman is upset and surprised that he's tracking Jason now. And if he's tracking Jason now, why didn't he say that? The idea where he's like, I tracked him 2 hours ago. I just
don't ever want to show your whole hand.
Didn't do anything. Well, he ends up knowing, and they go, and that's what gets him to this burning building to end up getting. And then you have what a lot of people love, the idea of Batman piggybacking Jason out of the burning building. That's like me and you, just every day coming home from work back in the day. You piggyback me around. We're doing a little chicken fights. When we get done, I do a little get you, go tickle fight. But yeah, he even yells, I'm not a kid, put me down. This is ridiculous. This is so ridiculous. So I often complain in stories like this, and I've complained about this. What are the police doing? All the crime that Catwoman has been saying they're going to do, that's more of a GCPD thing. It's not the over-the-top, rogues gallery craziness. It's just, smash and grab, as Selena did. The cops are just played off like goofballs. They're there. They are overworked, but they're just standing around. The whole city's on fire.
There's a whole page of people just yelling at the cops because they're
stuff.
not doing enough for them for the tax dollars that they're paying. I'm like,
yeah,
how is this working for us in the Gotham War right now?
It's not working much at all, because then they're like, man, I like the guy. I replaced the first Fox Tech tile with the XD version after it was stolen, but this is the second one I've had stolen in a month. What are you going to do about that? I think the one cop's like, I don't know what the fuck you just said. Like, what are you talking about? Then I reported my investment condo broken into a week ago. No response. I'm like, well there
we're not
you go.
supposed to care about these people because we learned anything from Catwoman's MO with the rest of her henchmen that she's training up. These must be rich people. And
they must be rich.
The effort.
They don't look so rich, but maybe they are. How do you think they got so rich?
Look at that guy with his Starbucks coffee and his Beats headphones.
You like the idea. Now, again, this is where you could go with Nico Leon. Like, this guy, look at he doesn't change. He's just like, is he just got that thing planted in his lips? He's not drinking. He's just there. He's talking into it.
He's cringing his teeth together. I don't think that's the word. He's grinding his teeth together, and then he's slurping on his coffee in the next one. Subtle changes.
That might be. Then you had the police yelling, oh, my God. You're yelling at us, and the city's on fire. Well, why don't you do something about that? We call the fire company. I like the idea that that's the play. The one police says, listen, we don't know what's happening. And then, now you're insulting me. Not really. They're trying to do whatever. I mean, it's the Gotham War, right? What are they going to do? But yeah, this whole play is they're overworked. But now they're really going to be, because holy shit, I love the idea that's like, oh my God, dear God, is that big enough problem for you? I'd look over and I'd kind of giggle. I'd look over and like, what are these assholes?
Is there a circus in town?
Yeah, well, what is it? Batman cosplay day? What is Batman Day at the comic book shop? What are you doing? And they're there looking like it's supposed to be threatening. It's goofy. The city's on fire, and Batman and Catwoman, like Batman especially, he could care less. He's just hanging in the brownstone. You don't get any of the Bat family really except Jason. We didn't get Zor-Anar. We could add a lot of things with that. This feels like it's not really connected at all, or very vaguely, to what we just ended up having in Batman, which is a big, big no-no. I mean, this is supposed to be, the big thing going, the big event, the big crossover. And this issue especially, to get to only a Red Hood tie-in next week, and then the next week we have Batman Catwoman, the Gotham War Scorched Earth #1. That ends.
That's the finale?
I mean, yeah, that's the finale. So this is like the regular main issues. This is it. It's done. We get that tie-in again. It probably won't mean much. And then we have one oversized Scorched Earth deal that we'll have on that annuals week. What can you even think that this is going to end up in some sort of satisfactory way?
I barely feel like it started. And then Vandal Savage took center stage, and I don't even know what the story's about anymore, except for his immortality.
Yeah, and again, why and what is he doing? Like, hey, guys, because then it feels like Vandal Savage at this point, he just wants to have huge diversion. Hey, everybody, go. He yells at Firefly for setting the town on fire, but then he goes, I'm going to give you Bat Tech, and then burn it down. I'm like, I want Firefly. That's what I did, asshole. You were
this
yelling at me.
This is on my schedule for Garfield.
And then I saw some other people I see what you're saying now about the Mr. Freeze gun. I didn't see the one that he had in the other arm. I just looked at that one that was going like that Uzi, so I think you're right. Maybe that's like a flamethrower. He got fire and ice he's doing.
Maybe he has Firefly's gun.
Well, with a Two-Face, it would be a cool thing. Fire and ice. He has Firefly's gun, because Firefly now has somebody else's thing. Who knows? But yeah, it's just it feels goofy.
I want somebody to have like crazy quote shit.
That would be funny. It just, everything here just feels like, well, I don't really have much to say or do, so I'll do goofy shit. Where it looks like the big things are in the Chip Zdarsky side of things.
The idea of the Gotham War, whether you like it or not, should have just been breaking up the Bat family and having them against each other with different ideals about how a better Gotham should be, And then you derail the whole thing with Vandal Savage. You could have had Vandal Savage lead up for a next story that you could be dealing with, which would be cool by like him trying to pick up the pieces that like Catwoman and Batman left behind during their Gotham War. But no, he's just center stage for this whole thing. And I'm like, all the stakes of what we started the story with are gone, and nobody cares about it, and they don't even write about it barely anymore. Like even Nightwing, like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't be doing that. Goodbye. Like, we don't do anything with the Bat family. Jason's is the only one front and center, and he's too scared to do anything anymore.
Yeah, and that's why he's front and center, because he's the only one that Batman did something kind of sus to, and you want to point that out, but barely points it out here. And also shows, again, I do like if you end up reading this and you realize, oh my God, they're showing that Jason's pretty tough and he will do the right thing even if he's afraid.
Tough cookie.
But that was kind of the joke I had, that Batman is setting Jason up for really bad things. The idea of it just being adrenaline, and then he can't watch a horror movie. We talked about that. The roller coasters are out.
Man, he was in the sewer. If I was in a sewer, I'd be so scared already.
Eric, I'm always scared. It's running scared constantly.
It's my secret.
Everything that you say, too, and what you were talking about, this R&R stuff. Yeah, a story where Batman's going a little over the top. Oh, my God, we got to look into us. They realize it's R&R. That can all be done in the Batman book. You don't need a crossover with Catwoman. So why and what are you going to do with Catwoman in this? And you see that the only thing you had was Vandal Savage to get, but you don't even need that. You could have ended up, Vandal Savage could have easily shown up later on in the Batman book to say, oh my God, I'm going to take over immortality, all these things. Catwoman
or even the Catwoman book.
Not, yeah, yeah. But in this whole play, the Catwoman book's not needed. And it's obvious here. It has nothing to do. Once you got rid of the big plan of crime and all that, that was Catwoman's MO and thing. Once you get Vandal Savage, this Catwoman book becomes just nothing. And that's what we get here. And it's nonsense. And Tini Howard's terrible. I should never write Batman, but what would you give this?
3.9 out of 10. I think that Nico's art is serviceable, but you can definitely see that he was rushed there, especially at the end. And the story, though, like the art, it's not a problem at all, even with being rushed. It's a story through and through. The characters feel off. You don't even know what the focus of the story is anymore, and nothing feels like it has stakes, especially when your cliffhanger is a bunch of goofy villains with a bunch of goofy Batman tech that will not help them in the slightest.
And again, the idea, too, just remember that Nico Leone was complaining because the script was late. Why? What were you doing in the script that you had to rewrite or come back with something? The only thing I can think is that at the last second, they decided to throw this Vandal Savage kid in. And then I don't know what else it would be to try to, make it work. It's just so weird, but I'm a 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10. And that's, like you said, I think the art is not bad. It's not his best work, but still good enough. It doesn't ruin anything. But what ruins it is the characterization and the script and everything about it besides the art.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.